there's so much reverence
Yeah.
for shit that's stupid. Like, I love Star Wars, but
Yeah.
it's like, it's not fucking the Odyssey. You know what I mean? It's like, it was made by a fucking dude who wears flannel shirts and is like, I love Flash Gordon. Like, we don't have to treat it like it's a fucking, like, ancient text that, like even fucking the Avengers, it's like, we have to respect these characters. Like, if it's
so
a fucking
true.
billionaire in an iron suit, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter.
Why are we so serious? Like, I can't wait to uphold
crazy.
the legacy. They should just have that, and then immediately after that, just cut to Jar Jar Binks going, "We saw
Yeah, exactly.
3, 4.
These boys only want the best of. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that pops. Oscar bait, black and white, maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar wieners, Oscar wieners, Oscar wieners. These boys are the Oscar wieners.
Yum, yum.
Oscar wieners.
Welcome to Oscar Wieners,
Sick.
the only show on the internet where Hollywood's biggest night hunts deer in the mountains of Pennsylvania.
It sure does. Except, not really.
Not really that they hunt deer, or not really that those mountains are not in Pennsylvania.
As soon as the mountains came on screen, I said, "There's no goddamn way this is Pennsylvania." I spent some time at school in Pennsylvania, and I said, "This is not the surrounding area."
I thought the same thing. I was like, this looks like fucking Colorado or something. This is not.
I looked it up. It's Washington, actually.
Okay, yeah.
It's it's a different mountain region. It's not the Alleghenies in Pennsylvania.
I also read they shot. It's kind of insane that the town is cohesive as it is, because I read that they shot the town in 4 different towns, just all over the country.
Oh, weird. Because the town
Ohio,
feels real.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, it feels like it's just a place.
Yeah,
but it's I guess that certain the Russian Orthodox Church is fucking in Ohio, and then other parts are it's weird. I was like, that's crazy.
Who did they have to hire that has so much esoteric knowledge of all these really obscure locations? Like, oh, you need a church in Boise. Yeah, I know the place.
Well, that's probably that's I guess a location scout's job, which is kind of cool, just to know places. Oh yeah, there's this really obscure ridge we can film.
That is pretty cool. Kind of a flex. Yeah, I know about this bar in Cleveland. Be perfect for this. Yeah. What's the show about?
This is Oscar Wieners. I'm fucking deer. He's Hunter.
At your service.
No, I'm Mike. He's Ander. This is a show where every week we pick a Best Picture winner at random and try to figure out if it's Best Picture worthy. And this week we are talking about the 1979 Best Picture winner, The Deer Hunter, if you couldn't guess, directed by Michael. I don't know if it's Cimino.
I'm going to say Cimino. I'm just going to go out on a limb there. Cimino just doesn't feel right.
Right. Michael Cimino. Sort of a blank check director. He
You've
made Deer
said
Hunter
that before. What does that mean? I kind of glossed over it. I pretended to be like, yeah, I know what's going on. What's that mean, though?
A blank check director is somebody who makes a movie that whose success is so undeniable, and whose craft is so undeniable that Hollywood is just like, you know what? After this one, make whatever the fuck you want. What do you want to do?
So cool.
Christopher Nolan makes The Dark Knight, and they're like, Chris, this is the highest grossing movie in the history of movies, so whatever you fucking want. And he's like, I want to make a movie about dream thieves. And they're like, what? And then that movie, do you know Inception almost made $1 billion?
You're on this already.
It almost made $1 billion.
Is that true?
That fucking weird ass movie. That's crazy.
I mean, Gone with the Wind made like 6 trillion compared in today's
Yeah,
money
but a
or
bunch of
something like
racists
that.
saw that, so that
Yeah,
makes
it's true.
sense.
Well, a bunch of racists saw Inception too and probably loved it, but they just
No
weren't racist
way.
about it.
No way. um, yeah, so Michael Cimino, after Deer Hunter, he makes this movie called Heaven's Gate, which is a famous Hollywood debacle. It's like this like
Oh.
3.5 hour Western starring Chris Christopherson, Jeff Bridges. I've never seen it.
I
But
would reckon it's probably if you let an artist just go out and create whatever the hell they want, I feel like the result is usually very hit or miss depending on the person. I think there are probably a lot of people who love it.
yeah, it still has sort of a mixed reception, but I do think there are people now who are like, oh, it's like kind of an unappreciated classic a little
Yeah,
bit.
I believe that.
That's a good point. Like a person, when you give like an artist total freedom, it really is hit or miss. Like,
Yeah.
because some artists are like, now that I have the freedom, I'm going to do the opposite of what an audience would want. Whereas like some people are just so audience savvy that they can't help but make like Christopher Nolan can't help but make like sort of an entertaining, like actiony sort of audience crowd pleaser.
Let artists make art. Otherwise, all this shit is mid. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, I know what you're saying. Deer Hunter,
Cool.
directed by directed by
See
Michael
ya.
Cimino, starring Robert De Niro. I'm gonna name the three main. You know what? Let's do a synopsis. Directed by Michael Cimino.
Yeah.
Deer Hunters follows a group of friends
Boys.
in a Pennsylvania, kind of working class Pennsylvania town, and who hunt deer, obviously. And eventually, three of them, Robert De Niro, who plays Michael, Christopher Walken, who plays Nick, and John Savage, who plays Steven. I don't think they're drafted. I get the sense that they signed up to go to Vietnam.
Yeah, I think they enlist. I think,
right.
There's really, you don't have the concept of Vietnam having happened during the time that Vietnam was going on, which is, I just confused myself with that sentence, but I think
Yeah,
it makes
what do you mean?
they don't know that Vietnam happened. They have no context for Vietnam wasn't bad. I'm having a minor stroke. Vietnam wasn't bad to them like it was to us now.
Oh, right. They're
it was
like,
a debacle.
Right. The way people in the town seem to view Vietnam is like, well, it's natural when there is a war for American men to go off to the war to fight for their country.
Yeah, they thought they were basically going to go, maybe not have an easy breezy time at war, but I don't think they had any idea of how horrific the conflict was there. So they enlisted.
Yeah,
people enlisted legitimately.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, because I guess the last war was the Korean War. I honestly don't know much about the Korean War, but I'm just thinking about, like, I feel like post World War II, there's so much, like, because World War II is like the good one. It feels like, there was like an unambiguous enemy.
Yeah,
America was the good guys, technically, I guess.
Even though there was a lot of reprehensible stuff happening at home.
Yeah, even though Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, even though lots of innocent people were probably murdered. Not probably, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. And like, I think the point of view of this movie, or at least maybe not the point of view, just like the stance to, in the beginning, have these guys see Vietnam as like, oh, we're like going to a place to defend our country, like be kind of idealistic, is interesting.
Yeah, and that leads us to the beginning of the first hour of this movie is happy.
Yeah, with some sort of dark awkwardness beneath it. But yeah, it's like a joyous, like the first hour is just a wedding.
You think that wedding goes on too long?
Yeah, I read that Michael Cimino, he told like producers and whatever, he was like, yeah, it's only gonna be like 20 minutes of screen time. And through sort of like poor planning or something, like there wasn't a producer on set day to day to supervise him. So he was like, okay, let's just keep fucking filming.
He was like
Cool, cool.
mom's not home. Let's just do whatever we want.
Yeah,
today.
ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. And they did.
But I do it does go on long, but I do think it feels sort of essential when you consider the rest of the movie.
I agree with that.
You have to know what the characters have lost when they come back.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. But the whole beginning of the movie, they're kind of just palling around. Their friend Steven's getting married. Part of it follows this wedding, which does go on for a long time. And then sorry, I just had a brain fart. They just go to bars, they hang out, they have a good time. They're all buds. They're kind of like an uproarious group.
I find them so annoying. Is
really?
That fair? Yeah.
That's fair. They're like 70s bros.
I don't find them charming at all. They just they drive drunk, they get drunk, they just make really stupid
assholes.
jokes. There's this one guy whose whole bit is he says fucking A, and I'm like, that's not really anything. Guy, go back to the drawing board.
But I like, they're kind of, if you scratch beneath the surface, they're kind of dicks. But I like that they're presented that way because they're just so kind of carefree. It really emphasizes what happens to them when they're thrust into trauma.
Right.
Because they really just don't care about anything except for them and their boys.
Robert De Niro is like the one guy who maybe isn't considering it, but like I love that Robert De Niro's character. He'll just like at one point when they go hunting before they go to Vietnam. So after the wedding, they go on like this last hunting trip.
Mm-hmm.
And John Cazale, who plays Stan,
mm-hmm.
John Cazale.
Tell me.
Just a little backstory on this movie. We're going to cover 3. This is one of the 3 movies we'll cover on this podcast that what am I saying? We're going to cover 3 movies that he's in. This is one of them.
Classic Oscar Cazale.
He has I think 5 screen credits total because this was his last film. He had cancer when he was filming this movie.
Whoa.
Meryl Streep was married to him.
Whoa.
Meryl Streep only took the role because she wanted to be with him, as he was dying.
Oh.
And he died shortly after filming.
Damn.
He is an incredible actor. And he weirdly has it feels like he left because he was in the 2 Godfathers. Like he was in these incredibly important movies and left behind a legacy, even though he was in so few movies.
I'm sorry, he's Stan?
Stan's the guy with the mustache. He punches his girlfriend at the wedding.
Yes.
He's kind of a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's the one who this is what I was getting to when they go on the hunting trip. He forgets his boots.
Yeah.
And then Robert De Niro won't give him his boots. And then this is what I was getting. Robert De Niro says weird shit. He holds up a bullet. He's like, "This is this. Okay? This is not that. This is this." And people, and then Stan's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I honestly love that so much. I think that 30-40 minute stretch after the wedding when they go on the hunting trip before they go to war, I think it's my favorite part of the movie. Because first of all, they're in these beautiful mountain ranges. The cinematography is excellent.
So good. Vilmos Zsigmond.
Yeah, the cinematography looks great. And they're just having these really kind of boyish squabbles. And Robert De Niro's character, Mike, is getting defensive about his boots and getting possessive about his own stuff. It's like, "Stan, you always borrow my boots," whatever. It's a stupid argument.
Right.
But I think in the context, I feel like he's kind of gearing his mind towards when he goes to Vietnam, he's kind of going to have to fend for himself. I think he's getting into that headspace.
Totally.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think, he's I think also he's considering the fact that Stan isn't going and he's so disorganized. He's always you always forget shit when we go on trips. And he's just I think he's almost measuring his masculinity against Stan's because he's I'm going to war. I am capable of going to war. Stan, you are not. And that's why you're not going. That's why you don't have it in you to go. Like it feels like that's
Interesting.
like almost like a kind of subtext.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I think it could be
Yeah.
both things. Yeah, and that just follows this whole beautiful sequence where he actually hunt. I didn't think there was going to be actual deer hunting. I thought that was going to be some sort of weird metaphor. I was like, oh, they're actually hunting deer,
Yeah.
and they're just running through the mountains, and Mike is chasing after this deer, and he shoots one down, and it shows like the slow death sequence and the opera. There's like this huge chorus, and I'm like, holy shit, this is movies, man. This
This is movies.
this is movies. That was so cool, I thought.
Yeah.
And they're just palling around being bros. They come back to the bar, and another moment that I really love is they're just singing Frankie Valli or whatever, like the "I love you, baby," and then just
Yeah.
drunk, belligerent, and then one of their friends starts playing just a really somber song on the piano, and the whole mood shifts. And they kind of have this group acknowledgement where this is probably the last time we'll be happy together.
Right. Right.
And the sad thing is it is. And then the movie gets dark.
Yeah. Yeah, the way this movie structure is interesting. Just like the three kind of acts of like home, Vietnam, back from Vietnam, at
Yeah.
home and struggling. And then kind of third act is kind of split. It's like half home and then half back to Vietnam to find Nick.
Right.
But yeah, Vietnam, they go to Vietnam. There's like it's like a huge time jump. Like it's maybe been like a year or two or like 6 months. Like Robert De Niro
Yeah.
is just like in this like small village in the middle of like just like the forest or whatever.
Mhm.
Just laying down. Like obviously something has happened. We have no idea what it is. He is just laying on the ground, almost like concussed. He's like coming to. The Viet Cong are like approaching. They're killing villagers. The way, I mean, listen, I don't think this movie depicts the Vietnamese in a particularly good way. I just want to say that. I feel like it's like a lot of these movies, it treats the enemy as like this sort of faceless, like evil thing.
Non-nuanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Robert De Niro comes to, he sees these people, the Viet Cong killing like these villagers. He like gets a flamethrower
And just
crazy,
goes
uses
nuts.
it. Then like Nick and Steve are flying in on a helicopter. I don't know if they were looking for him. It seems like they were maybe.
I don't know. It seems like their interaction is kind of coincidental because Nick is like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Yeah, like
Mike?
they thought De Niro was dead.
Yeah. And they're just like, "Oh shit, Mike, is that you?" And he's like, just covered in soot and blood
Yeah.
and just holding a flamethrower, and he's just a bleak sight.
right.
And then it jump cuts to when they're being held hostage, right?
Yeah, so like what happens?
They're captured, I guess.
It is a little, it's like a little choppy because like yeah, Steven and Nick find Mike,
Mhm.
and then there's like an explosion like
Yeah.
in the field beyond, but it's not like super near them. It's just like and then like you see like more Viet Cong coming,
They're coming in hot.
and then it just cuts to them in like the kind of bamboo prison cell that they're in like the water.
Yeah, they're being held prisoner in this just reprehensible conditions.
Yeah.
Just and they're basically just wait, and you can tell the Viet Cong are that have captured them are also going crazy because they're playing games. They're playing Russian roulette in the cabin upstairs, while these guys basically wait their turn, sit in this swamp water.
I like the take that because I think it is accurate that the Viet Cong who have captured them have obviously also kind of gone crazy, like just like being at war so long. It's like, oh, we're gonna just like pit these people against each other
For
in
our
just a
entertainment.
random game of chance. And it's like sadistic and insane. It's interesting.
Yeah. So like I don't like. Do you want to just summarize what happens? They play Russian roulette. They stage this insane escape plan.
Yeah. What do you think? This is like maybe this is the most famous scene in the movie.
Yeah.
This is a scene I've seen. Like, I feel like I saw this scene before I ever even saw the movie. It was just like my dad would be like, "Oh, the Russian roulette scene."
And I think that's the problem with the reception. I'm loath to say that someone's interpretation of a movie is wrong.
Are you coming for my dad?
I'm gonna come straight for your dad. I'm coming for your dad today.
What the hell?
How about that?
Chill out, man.
I think so many people, at least from the reviews that I've read, have latched onto this Vietnam section, and it's short. It's like 40 minutes, 30 minutes maybe.
It is. It's the shortest section. Yeah.
It's the most action packed, but people are like, and then it's boring for an hour, and then there's action, and then it's boring for the rest. And it's
God, that's so disturbing.
The interesting part, I think, is after Vietnam, in my opinion.
I agree. I think how the three characters react to their time in Vietnam is like, I just with the Russian roulette scene, like I think probably when I was like fucking 14 and I would like watch the scene, I was like, oh hell yeah. But watching it now, I'm like, this is the most upsetting, horrifying shit I've seen. This is like insane.
Oh yeah, it is. It's absolutely insane.
I like just like the this would destroy my sense of self. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just like it is weird that people are like, oh fucking hell yeah, they get out, they escape. Blah, 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 blah. That's crazy.
Well, you know what? It's supposed to be traumatic. It's supposed to be this short burst source of trauma, even for the viewer. I was like, because your blood pressure throughout this whole part is like, oh my god, they're playing Russian roulette, they're trying to escape. Steven's in the weird bamboo cage. I don't know what that is.
It's like
really.
where it's like it seems like that's where they put people to just like die.
I guess, but it seems better than having to play Russian roulette. I don't know. I wasn't there personally. But it's traumatic. It's incredibly so. And it really gives you a window into the characters' mindsets because what they go through is so fucking intense that it explains their behavior for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I changed my mentality. I was just like, Jesus Christ. I felt changed from even just seeing that. I can't even imagine experiencing that. I'm sure it's probably something that happened to a degree.
Yeah, it's been disputed. There's like a lot of dispute over if there was ever Russian roulette stuff like that going on in Vietnam. Like, it's not necessarily historically accurate, but it's like, there's lots of various kinds of like torture and like, war is insane. War makes people insane, and that's why, honestly, can I say it?
I mean, go ahead. I can't stop you.
I'm anti-war.
Wow. Wow.
I'll see you in 2024 at the podium.
Get your votes out. Get your votes out. We're taking away your guns and your
rights.
Sure.
Let's see. That actually, it sounds that sounds like I'm like, people who are taking away guns are taking away my rights. I don't feel that way.
Too. I was like, whatever. No, we're just gonna let that.
That's not what I mean. I'm just making a joke. I'm playing the part of a maniac. Maybe cut this out, but or keep it in. Who cares?
Whatever.
Yeah. So they escape.
They're saved by this helicopter, and then Nick gets aboard the helicopter. Christopher Walken. Mike and Steve they drop from the helicopter.
That is actually apparently Robert De Niro and John Savage. They actually did that stunt where they like jump. They did it like a bunch of times too, because like obviously they didn't nail it in take one. So they're just like falling from this helicopter.
What did they do into water? Like what's their?
Yeah, but like they did that stunt. They didn't have like a trained professional. Robert De Niro was like, "I have a beard. Let me do it."
He did say that is a quote. You can quote him on that. That's insane. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Steven breaks, I don't know, I guess both of his legs irreparably.
So Robert De Niro is basically just like carrying Steven, and like a Jeep, like an American military Jeep comes by. Mike gives Steven to them to take to like wherever, like the hospital or whatever. And then we leave Mike and we transition to Nick, and we just follow Christopher Walken's character for like 20 minutes as he's just like,
Yeah, can I ask a question?
yeah, go for it.
So he's taken to the hospital. He's
Mhm.
obviously not well.
Yeah.
Physically he's recovering, but mentally you could tell he's just shot. And probably needs to be sent home. He's just kind of like wandering the streets. Like, what is their deal? Like, the hospitals are so full, they're just like go into Saigon and hang out.
I guess it's like technically, it's like almost like, I guess it's like medical leave kind of, but it's like you're not sent home. I don't really know. That's a good question.
It
I
was
just took it as
unusual.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess it was unusual to me because they weren't stationed at an American military base or anything. It wasn't like, oh, go back here to recover. It was just like, yeah, you're good to go. Just whatever you want to do, go for it.
Right. It seems like people can probably, if they wanted to, go home,
Mhm.
but it also seems like a lot of like American soldiers are like, I'm just gonna hang out in Saigon because like this place is like right now it's the wild fucking west because it's just like because obviously a war is raging, so it's like
Yeah,
just chaos and like I can just be my most depraved self here.
yeah, and he gets wrapped up in he just starts doing Russian roulette for money.
It's such a fascinating like reaction to trauma to be like, oh, I'm actually impervious to death.
You know what? That is really interesting because that's what he reaches, right? He's basically like
He has
death
like a
is not
god
real. This
complex. He's
whole
like,
thing
I
is
can't,
yeah.
yeah. He like
He's like
loses touch with
whatever.
reality. I can't die. I'm just gonna do all this. I'll send money home to Steven. He just like
Yeah,
completely loses himself.
which I find those things to be kind of at odds with each other. Like he's so affected that he basically becomes a nihilist and is just like nothing matters, death isn't real or won't hurt me, one of those two. But he
Right.
still has the compassion and wherewithal to send money home to Steven, who's in a care facility. I didn't really understand those things. I guess maybe that's like his inner human or friend, that's still there, and maybe that's the reason why Mike goes back to try and get him home.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because when uh Mike goes to find him like at the very end, Nick like seems to not even recognize him. And
Yeah.
until like they're playing Russian roulette. It's almost like once Mike meets Nick, like recreates the site of Nick's trauma. He's like, oh
Mhm.
wait, I remember you. I like remember who I am,
And
which is
then
like
wants to
devastating.
die. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I think that's exactly it. I think when he becomes human again, I think when he becomes himself again, I think he's like, I don't want to live with all of this knowledge that I have now.
right,
And I mean, obviously he can't control, you know, that there's a bullet in the chamber, but you almost feel like maybe he did somehow,
right.
like Mr.
Um,
Professor X style or something, like telekinesis or some shit.
yeah, uses fucking what's it called? I can't remember that like
Tele-
chamber he goes into and he like hears all like the mutant kids' voices.
the hell is that from this movie?
No, X-Men, man.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Um,
Uh,
you
that
brought
doesn't
up
happen.
Professor X.
I don't know who that was. I was
Don't
hoping you would know.
gaslight me.
I was hoping you knew.
Um, yeah, so maybe we could circle back to the
Magneto
Nick
was
stuff, I
probably a
guess.
better
Sure.
because he could
um,
levitate metal shit. That would have been better. Next time we do Deer Hunter.
you're obsessed with this now. It's fine. It doesn't matter. People have
This is
already
an X-Men
forgotten.
review podcast now.
Um,
Sorry.
what did you think of the De Niro going home stuff and just like not adjusting at all?
I think that's the saddest part of the whole thing. I think the their time in Vietnam is really traumatic and intense and it makes you feel a certain way. But I think when he comes home, because you contrast his headspace with the joy that his friends and family experience in seeing him home. They have this huge, overtly patriotic party with all these American flags, and it's borderline vulgar. Like you're like, oh, like it's so patriotic.
Yeah.
It's painful. And you know it's painful. In fact, the saddest scene to me is when they all go bowling together and they're all having fun, they're laughing, having a good time. And then he's kind of just lurking in the corner, just watching over. That I think to me is the saddest part because he realizes he can never be the same again.
Yeah.
That's bleak, folks.
Yeah. This movie is no fun.
I mean, this
And
movie is
then-
great. Don't get me wrong. I think this
Yeah.
movie is really, really good. It fucks you up. Like I made the mistake of watching it before I went to bed. I thought it was
You
gonna be
do it.
fine. I had to take a walk, man. That was just
Yeah.
hard. You gotta. It's something you have to process. And I think honestly, can I say it? I enjoy Joy.
Wow.
I don't know if that's controversial.
You're saying that in 2023?
I like Joy better than Sad, if that's fine to say.
I like Joy better than Roy, who's kind of a bad guy.
Roy sucks. I mean, it's tough because like you want to look at this try to look at it as objectively as you can, but at the end of the day, I don't like to be sad in my when I'm engaging in entertainment. Like I get that it's real and emotive and it has this impact, but it just puts me in a bad mental state.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I like fucking around in the morally gray spaces. But yeah, sometimes like if you watch too much of that in a row, you're like, gee, like I've been watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is I guess is like the most recent Star Trek like show.
Nerd,
and I'm
but
just
okay.
like, God, this is just a show about like people who want to do the right thing, and it's so nice. I'm just like, God, this is the best.
I guess too much of that is also bad because it's maybe
Right.
a little too saccharine and
Right.
but this is just brutal, man. Every turn, every phase in the movie where you think like maybe there's some sort of glimmer of hope, it's just squashed out.
Well, even like so in part one, I want to talk a little bit about Meryl Streep, who plays Linda.
Meryl Streep's in this? They got Streep for this?
Yeah, they got Streep for this. And I already said that she took this role to be with John Cazale, her husband, as he was dying. I don't think she really liked the role because it was just sort of the stock girlfriend character, but I do think having a Meryl Streep in that role adds like, because she's obviously one of the best to do it, she like adds layers of dimension that might not otherwise be there on the page.
For sure. I agree with that.
Like I just find her, we talked about how sad this movie is. I think it's so sad when Mike comes home. And even before he leaves, you get the sense that he's into her too. He wants to, she's with Nick but if she wasn't, he would probably scoop her up.
Yeah. Little scoopskis.
Little scoopskis.
He also has the worst kiss attempt at the wedding on her.
He like leans in and then he like, it's brutal.
It's
and
so
then
painful.
Then she kind of laughs though, which I think is like kind of cute.
It's
like
worse than all of the Vietnam scenes. It's more torturous. Yeah, I was just like, Russian roulette.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find that when Mike comes home, the Linda and Mike stuff is sad because like she like wants him also to like have sex with her. Like she's like, just come to bed with me. She's like, let us comfort each other.
Yeah.
And he's just like he's so like
no.
broken that he's like, lady, I even if I like could, I can't, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't, but I kind of get it.
Shit. I was on a roll there.
It's sad. It's depressing. Yeah. It's bleak.
It's all sad.
Grim. Can we talk about the very end? So Nick doesn't come home. Mike goes to get Nick. It's a very intense Russian roulette scene.
Yeah.
Nick shoots himself.
Yeah.
Sucks. They have a funeral.
Yeah.
Funeral's sad.
Yeah.
And then they sing God Bless America, which is too on the nose.
When it started, I literally rolled my eyes. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Here's how I can fix this in 2 seconds.
I think I know what your fix is going to be.
Change the song. Song was just too. It's like, all right, we get it. We get your forced metaphor here. Change it to Frankie Valli.
I thought the same fucking thing. I'm like, why aren't they singing,
I
that can't
love
take my
you,
eyes off of
baby.
you? Yeah.
Yes, why
I'm
not?
like
That would be
what?
so much more impactful because it's so reminiscent of the good times that they had together. They were all
Yeah,
singing that song at the wedding and all this stuff. It'd be such a, I feel like that would be such a powerful moment instead of this weird forced metaphor bullshit.
I completely agree. Wrote down the same thing.
Cool.
Michael Cimino, per Wikipedia, apparently in an interview,
Yeah.
he said that God Bless America, he wasn't trying to say something specifically political. He was just like, it's like which is like, it was
Okay.
he said, God Bless America in most, if not all American citizens, you fucking say it at fucking football games. You say it maybe at school at some point. It's like so ingrained in your brain, like a lullaby, that it's like these characters are forging a new future where like Nick is missing. Some of the men in this group are like completely broken, but like maybe like Steven's with his wife at the end. Maybe at some point things will get better
Yeah.
a little bit. He's like, so they sing this song as like this like reminiscent lullaby that they remember, that like as a way to comfort each other and like sort of uh inaugurate, baptize this
Yeah.
new fucking version of this like little family that they built.
I understand that, but at the same time, in the context of a movie where misplaced patriotism is such a prominent theme, you can't put that in and not expect us to think about other stuff.
That it's real. I don't totally believe like Michael Cimino. That seems like the kid putting God Bless America in this feels like a film student thing. It's like, no, it would be fucking
It's exactly what
crazy.
yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
And it's like, no, what would really hammer this home is if they sang God Bless America. Because America fucked them, right? And it's
Right?
like,
Right, guys? Guys?
yeah, I already got that from literally the rest of the movie. The whole movie
That was
saying that.
pretty clear. You didn't
Yeah,
have
you
to you have to
sing
stamp
about
it
it.
on my forehead.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a little bit silly. And it's what sucks about it is I think like it left, like I ended up leaving the movie kind of rolling my eyes, which
Yeah,
I did quite like this movie, but I was
same.
just sort of like, that's kind of left a little bit of a silly taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Cool. Glad we can agree on fucking
Yeah.
something.
Check out my X-Men podcast coming next week. Screw this one. That's really all. That's I think I captioned my thoughts.
You like
I
this
think it was
movie?
yeah, I think it's great. I'll never watch it again in my entire life. Never.
Me
I don't
neither.
recommend it to anybody either, frankly.
I'm glad you didn't watch it with your mom.
No, I watched this by myself in a dark room and I had to
Uh,
take a walk.
yeah. And somehow I understood my dad better. I don't know. I don't know if that makes
Yeah, I
sense.
got him under he
He
was
wasn't.
in
He didn't fight in
Vietnam.
Vietnam. I just sort of understood him as a man, if that makes
Well, he
sense.
had some back in the day. He had some car troubles, I guess. He couldn't start his car. When I say back in the day, I meant last week. So I kind of get trauma and the whole before and after stuff.
Right.
He wasn't the same since. He couldn't start his Jeep Grand Cherokee, his
Uh,
Chevy Tahoe.
should I tell you the other Best Picture winners from that year, or Best Picture nominees? I always fucking say the wrong thing. What's the matter with my ass?
Hey, listen, look at me. Look at me.
Sorry, I'm
You're,
looking at my phone. Sorry, I'm texting.
no, stop.
I'm doing taxes.
What?
I got my W-2 early. I signed up for that program.
Early? We
Yeah.
just had tax season. You're
No
late.
way.
I was gonna say you're doing a great job, but I guess I'm taking that back.
So next up we have a Hal Ashby joint. Ever heard of him?
No.
He's a great director. Uh, made Harold and Maude. You know that movie?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Fine.
Sorry.
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 All right. So this is a Hal Ashby joint. It's called Coming Home. Also, Vietnam adjacent. I feel like this is like late 70, like 78, 79. People are like, it's only like, I think like 5 or 6 years post war,
Mm.
but people are starting to feel comfortable. It'd be like filmmakers are starting to get comfortable and being like, should we explore how this
Yeah, let's
fucked
talk about
people
this.
up and like damaged? It's just like was a crazy conflict.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Yep.
there are so many Vietnam War movies, and I feel like each kind of has its own spin on it. Like each does feel kind of unique. I haven't seen very many.
I do think Vietnam War movies are kind of the best war movies because like it's I do feel like they often are able to they're often willing to cover the murkiness
Mhm.
of war. Whereas I feel like, like Saving Private Ryan, that movie rules, but it really is like Tom Hanks is the best guy
Yeah.
and he's going to save Matt Damon, who's also a best guy. Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, coming home, the wife of a Marine serving in Vietnam decides to volunteer at a local veterans hospital to occupy her time. There she meets Luke Martin, a frustrated wheelchair-bound vet who has become disillusioned with the war. Sally and Luke develop a friendship that soon turns into a romance.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Sounds nice.
Next up is Heaven Can Wait.
Wait, what? That's the same year?
Huh?
Oh, Heaven's Gate is the other one.
Oh no, Heaven Can
Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
Uh
This is what Kevin Can Wait is based on
Probably.
with Kevin James.
Yeah, probably it's probably like
Okay.
a riff on that.
All right. Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure. It's the same.
co-directed by Warren Beatty and starring Warren Beatty. Joe Pendleton is a quarterback preparing to lead his team to the Super Bowl when he is almost killed in an accident.
Oh, that's this movie.
An over-anxious angel plucks him to heaven, only to discover that he wasn't ready to die and that his body has been cremated. A new
My
body must be
parents
found, and that of a recently murdered millionaire is chosen. His wife and accountant, the murderers, are confused by this development as he buys the LA Rams in order to once again quarterback them into the Super Bowl.
my
Sounds pretty
my
good.
my parents were trying to explain this to me, and I was like, "What the hell are you? What is that? I don't get it. I don't." I'm like, he dies, but then he's an old man, but he falls in love with this young lady, but then he dies again, but he has to die to become a quarterback again. It's so convoluted that I
Yeah,
guess you have to see it to believe it,
right.
and I haven't, so I don't
Um, I'll
believe
probably
it.
watch it one day.
Yeah,
I gotta
sure.
go. I gotta go through Warren Beatty's directorial filmography.
Okay.
Next up is Midnight Express, an Alan Parker movie. Bill Hayes is caught attempting to smuggle drugs out of Turkey. The Turkish courts decide to make an example of him, sentencing him to more than 30 years in prison. Hayes has two opportunities for release: the appeals made by his lawyer, his family, and the American government, or the
Ooh.
Midnight Express.
Ooh.
It's like a prison break movie.
Cool.
Haven't seen it. Haven't seen any of these movies, I should say,
Yeah.
besides Deer Hunter.
That's the last one.
Last one is An Unmarried Woman, Paul Mazursky joint. A wealthy woman from Manhattan's Upper East Side struggles to deal with her new identity and her sexuality after her husband of 16 years leaves her for a younger woman. See, that's some 70s shit. It's just like a movie about a woman or a man, like just a person doing a thing, like just living their life as like something, just something happens, then they're just living their life and trying to deal with it. I'm like, that's a fucking movie.
That's the
It doesn't
70s
have
to you?
doesn't have Ant-Man. It doesn't have the Wasp.
Why not?
It doesn't have fucking Oppenheimer. No, I like Oppenheimer. It doesn't have fucking the Trolls. It doesn't
Yeah,
have
maybe it's
whatever.
all right. Doesn't have movies don't have to have the trolls to be good, but I do think it makes it. You have to have solid characters and
Yeah.
well-written characters and dialogue for that to be compelling. Compelling. Sorry, demons.
Are you fucking okay?
Demon trying to shut me up about that, but about the truth.
Do you think Deer Hunter is best picture worthy?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think so too. I do really like it. I do think I don't really know. It's not. It's to me. It's not like a Deer Hunter isn't like a 5 out of 5 masterpiece. It is. It is a really good movie though. But
All right.
give it the best picture. Who the fuck cares? Who am I?
I mean, they gave it the fucking gentleman's agreement. I mean, give it to this.
Fair.
Why not? Yeah. Would you like to hear what the truth, what the people had to say?
Yeah, hit me.
So I found some internet reviews about what was this movie called? The Deer's Hunter?
I think comma Hunter.
Deer Hunter. It's a Dear John prequel. Let me see. I'm a little disorganized
What
today.
the fuck are you doing?
Give me the name of somebody who is just a real Shel Silverstein stan. All right, come on.
Who's
Let's get on
the
with
guy
it.
that sings "What a Wonderful World"? And I think to myself,
Louis Armstrong.
Yeah, he kind of has a Shel Silverstein voice, right? Like they have like that really like they almost sound like frog like it's like in the throat.
I don't get that at all, but sure. Louis Armstrong says 2 stars. I rated Cat in the Hat higher than this, and I will die on that hill.
Fuck.
Is Cat in the Hat better than this?
No. That is like should be charged for war crimes.
Absolutely. We got a consensus on that. This one, I'm not going to give this person a fake name. Just shout out to the Real Cheese Boy. I think you have a great username. I think you're awesome. 2 stars. The Real Cheese Boy says, "Hey, I got a movie title for you." The Time Waster.
Oh,
Not
very
bad,
nice.
not bad. Did you think this was too long?
Honestly, weirdly, as sad as this movie was, like when I started, I was like, okay, 3 hours, here we go. But I was like, kind of flew by a little bit.
I agree with that. I think it kind of flew by too. Give me the name of somebody who's just really short on time.
Fucking me.
Okay. Me writes 2 stars. Boring than war crimes than boring. Sad.
I think audiences, like modern audiences, don't really know how to watch a movie like this for the most part. Like it's like, wait, they're just dancing at a wedding and there's no forward like momentum plot wise. What the fuck is this?
Speaking of which, give me the name of a person who's dancing at a wedding.
Alexander Andriadis.
That's right. Alexander Andriadis writes 1/2 of a star. I'm an hour into the movie and we're still at this fucking wedding. Turning this shit off. I don't care how good the next 2 hours are. Imagine getting to the wedding and then turning it off. Yeah. You've seen none of the movie.
Yeah.
Stay lovey.
Is that what you got?
That's what I got.
All right. Thank you for those. Follow us on Letterboxd. I'm Mike OBRY. He's Ander Hates Films.
That's right.
Next week, you ready for this shit?
Yes.
Next week, we are talking about 2018 Best Picture winner. Get ready to fuck a merman. Shape of Water.
Let's go in the house, baby. Best
Guillermo del Toro's
ever made.
Weird ass. Have you seen it?
I saw it I think around the time it came out. Yeah, I don't remember much about it though.
I have seen it twice and I struggle with it. Maybe I'll like it more this time.
Yeah, let's go. I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Also, I'm really excited to talk about that Oscars year because the movies that are up for Best Picture, it's like you're like, I'm sorry, Shape of Water won?
Yeah, not as good as Shape.
Crazy.
Shape dub. Let's go.
All right. So until next time, toast some I hate that this is a bit that I have to do now. Toast some slices of Wonder Bread, slather some mayonnaise on them.
Okay.
Cut up a weenie down the middle, fry it on both sides, stuff it between the 2 slices of Wonder Bread. You got yourselves a poor man's dinner.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. All right.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Wieners.
1, 2, 3, 4.
These boys only want the best stuff. They want the cream of the crop. They don't want none of that Michael Bay shit. They want the shit that bops. Oscar bait, black and white, maybe something French. If it's got more than one explosion, honey, put that shit on the bench. Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners, Oscar Wieners. These boys are the Oscar Wieners. Oscar Wieners.
I only have 3 subscriptions: Quibi, Peacock, and Tubi.